National Electrical Code Section 300.15 addresses boxes or conduit bodies required where conductors or splice are pulled. A new rule provides an exception. Where accessible only to qualified persons, a box or conduit body shall not be required for conductors in handhole enclosures. The intent of this rule focuses on controlling access to the wiring inside the handhole. This access is restricted to qualified persons. The method for restricting access involves the handhole lid. To comply with the exception, the lid must either require a tool to open or weigh more than 100 pounds. This weight restriction helps prevent unauthorized access by unqualified individuals. Qualified persons, in the context of electrical work, are those who have the skills and knowledge related to the construction and operation of electrical equipment and installations and have received safety training to recognize and avoid the hazards involved. Requiring a tool for access or a heavy lid serves as a physical barrier, deterring unqualified individuals from tampering with the electrical conductors inside the handhole. This ensures that only trained and authorized personnel are able to access and work on the wiring, reducing the risk of electrical shock or damage to the system. The exception to the box or conduit body requirement applies only when these specific access restrictions are in place. If the handhole is accessible to the general public, or if the lid does not meet the tool or weight requirement, then the standard rules for boxes and conduit bodies must be followed. These standard rules typically require that all splices and terminations be contained within an approved enclosure, such as a junction box or conduit body. The purpose of these enclosures is to provide mechanical protection for the conductors and to prevent accidental contact with live parts. By allowing an exception for handholes accessible only to qualified persons, the code recognizes that in certain controlled environments, the additional protection of a box or conduit body may not be necessary, provided that adequate measures are taken to prevent unauthorized access. It's important to note that even when this exception applies, all other applicable requirements of the electrical code must still be met. This includes requirements for conductor ampacity, overcurrent protection, grounding, and wiring methods. The conductors must be properly supported and protected from physical damage, and all connections must be made in a workmanlike manner. The handhole itself must also be suitable for the environment in which it is installed. It must be able to withstand the expected weather conditions, such as rain, snow, and ice, and it must be resistant to corrosion if installed in a corrosive environment. The handhole should also be large enough to provide adequate working space for qualified persons to perform maintenance and repairs. When designing and installing handhole enclosures, it's always best to consult with a qualified electrical engineer or contractor to ensure that all applicable codes and standards are met. They can help you determine the appropriate size and type of handhole for your application, as well as the correct wiring methods and overcurrent protection. They can also advise you on the best way to restrict access to qualified persons. Furthermore, regular inspections and maintenance of handhole enclosures are essential to ensure their continued safety and reliability. This includes checking the condition of the lid, the enclosure itself, and the wiring inside. Any damaged or deteriorated component should be replaced promptly. It is also important to keep the handhole free of debris and obstructions that could hinder access or create a hazard. In summary, the National Electrical Code Section 300.15 provides an exception to the box or conduit body requirement for conductors in handhole enclosures, but only when access to the wiring inside the handhole is restricted to qualified persons by a lid requiring a tool to open or weighing more than 100 pounds. This exception is intended to allow for more flexibility in certain controlled environments, while still ensuring the safety of electrical workers and the public. However, it is important to remember that all other applicable requirements of the electrical code must still be met, and if regular inspections and maintenance are essential to ensure the continued safety and reliability of handhole enclosures. This helps to avoid hazards while still maintaining safety. The standard rules for boxes and conduit bodies require that all splices and terminations be contained within an approved enclosure, such as a junction box or conduit body. The purpose of these enclosures is to provide mechanical protection for the conductors and to prevent accidental contact with live parts.